What's up YouTube, this is Brian from Bull Strength coming at you with another video, and today we're going to be talking about my warm-up routine. Having a solid full body warm-up routine is absolutely essential for those who are into heavy strength training. Slowly warming up every muscle in the body will go a long way in preventing injury and keeping you feeling fresh and healthy in the long term. Now, these warm-up exercises can be used by people other than powerlifters and strongmen, but this particular routine was written with these types of intense activities in mind. If you're already training with me, then this video is going to seem very familiar since we run through most of these exercises on a daily basis. What can I say? I practice what I preach. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. All right, and the first muscles we're going to stretch is going to be the calves, the anterior muscles in your lower leg, as well as your ankles. And the first stretch that we're going to use for this is a toe walk. So you're just going to get up onto the balls of your feet, kind of pretend like you have high heels, and you're just going to walk back and forth in the gym with a little plantar flexion. You're probably going to do about 40 to 50 steps before you're adequately warmed up. And the next warm-up exercise we're going to do is going to be pretty much the opposite. Instead of getting on the balls of our feet, we're going to get on our heels. So you're going to kind of set your weight back into your heels and very awkwardly walk around the gym, kind of looking like Jason Genova. This is a great stretch for the calves and is really good at opening up the ankles. So if squat mobility, if that is an issue for you, breaking parallel, things like that, this is a great stretch for that, as well as the next one. So I talked about this one in a previous video, forcing dorsiflexion with a yoga block. But you can also do it up against a power rack like I'm doing here, or up against a wall, pretty much whatever works for you. So you want to get the ball of your foot up on a vertical surface, get the heel down on the ground, and then you're going to pull your torso up to kind of maximize that stretch in your ankle. And like I said before, if breaking parallel with the squat is an issue for you, this is definitely a stretch that you're going to want to incorporate. All right, so now that the ankles and lower legs are warmed up, we're going to move on to the thighs and hips. And the first stretch we're going to do for this is a karaoke. So if you've ever done like high school wrestling or football or anything like that, I'm sure that you've done the fast version of the karaoke. I personally prefer to do a slower version just to kind of get a deeper dynamic stretch out of the hips. So what you're going to do is cross your outside front foot over the top, step out with the other leg, and then cross underneath with the next step. All right, and the next stretch is going to be a nice dynamic stretch for your quads and knees. This one is a butt kick. Typically, this one is also done more quickly, and like the karaoke, I prefer to do these slower just to get a deeper stretch. Just make sure with every kick that you're kind of exaggerating it a little bit, kind of lean forward with your torso a little bit so you get a deeper stretch out of that connective tissue around your knees. And the next stretch is going to be more hip related. This is a Crock Squat. So it's basically just a bodyweight squat. You're going to go as low as you can, and you're going to hold it for about 30 to 60 seconds. And to earn bonus points with this stretch, you can place your elbows on the inside of your knees and push outward. This is going to give you a deeper stretch out of the adductors, which are the muscles that run along the inner part of your legs. Now, if you're new to squatting, obviously getting into a Crock Squat is not going to be very effective because you're probably going to be stiff and you're not even going to be able to go close to breaking parallel. So what I recommend is you grab something to kind of anchor yourself to, like a power rack like I'm doing here in the video, and you're just going to set down as far as you can while keeping your chest up, okay? So it's very subjective. You just want to keep performing this stretch as deeply as you can, and I promise over time your range of motion is going to increase. The next stretch we have is a sort of dynamic combination of a hip flexor stretch and a hamstring stretch. So we're going to pull ourselves forward into a hip flexor stretch, and then we're going to sit back, get a little stretch out of the hamstrings, and then bounce back forward into a hip flexor stretch. You're going to do this for about 5 to 8 reps on each side. All right, and the next stretch is a side lunge. This one is another adductor stretch. I would say it's not 100% necessary, but if you do feel like you have tighter adductors, i.e. if you are experiencing valgus collapse like I've talked about in a previous video, if your knees do tend to cave in when you squat, then, adding this in is going to do a good job at loosening up the adductors, which might be responsible for causing your knees to collapse. All right, these next few stretches are going to be centered around the spine. So we're talking about the spinal erectors, the lats, and all those little muscles in your upper back. And the first stretch is yoga inspired. This is called a child's pose. So basically what you're going to do is reach your hands forward as high as they'll go and then sit your hips back. You want to get a nice deep stretch out of your spine. So not only is this going to be good at stretching out your spinal erectors, this is also going to be great at stretching out your lats, your teres minor, teres major, and all those smaller muscles in your upper back. And the next stretch is a lot more spine specific. This is a cat-cow stretch. This is a very good way to get good flexion and extension out of your spine. So all you're going to do is dip the middle part of your back downward while you push your hips and your head up to create sort of a dip in the middle part of your back. Then you're basically just going to do the opposite by tucking your head in, tucking your butt down, and forcing your spine upward. And the last bit of stretching is going to be focused on the upper part of your trunk, so upper back, chest, as well as your shoulders and arms. And the first stretch for this is going to be an upper back stretch. So you're going to put both of your hands up on the wall and you're going to dip your head down as low as you can go. This is an excellent stretch for opening up the shoulders and is an absolute essential for gaining mobility for the overhead press. The next one is an underhand shoulder stretch. I really like the underhand variation over the neutral hand position, only because you get a really good stretch out of the ligaments in your elbows, which are going to be greatly affected by pressing, as well as your wrist. This is going to be very good if you have tight wrists. And you'll also notice a very deep stretch out of your bicep and your front deltoid. So you're basically just going to put your palm up against the wall and then turn outward as far as you can go. The next one is just some basic shoulder circles. I pretty much do maybe 3 to 6 reps going forward and then 3 to 6 going backwards. This is just to kind of warm up all the small muscles in your shoulders. The next one is a Cuban rotation. This is an outstanding stretch for hitting your rhomboids as well as your rotator cuffs. Grab a couple of dumbbells, pretty much hold them so that your elbow has a right angle, 90 degrees, and you're just going to force it down as far as it'll go while maintaining that angle, and then you're just going to flip it up overhead. And the last stretch we have is a banded pull apart combined with a dislocation. So you're going to grab a resistance band, stretch it as far as it'll go in front of your chest, do a static hold for about 3 to 5 seconds. You don't want to hold this one too long or else you're going to start feeling some strain. And then you're just going to take the band, bring it up overhead, circle it all the way around back and down to your hips. This is an excellent shoulder stretch. I would say it's the best one on this list, only because it's pretty much hitting every little muscle in the shoulders and upper back. And to get a deeper stretch out of your rotator cuffs and rhomboids, you can take the resistance band and hold it 45 degrees and do some small static stretches with that. All right, that's pretty much it for the video. If you enjoyed the content, please leave a like. If you enjoyed the content and want to see more, be sure to subscribe. If you'd like to support this channel, you can do so through Patreon or Subscribestar, which is also where I do online coaching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out.